everyone, it's Mrs. Lescano here, and welcome to our first video tutorial for Drawing 1. Our first project is Micrography. In this Drawing 1 course, each one of our projects will correspond to a certain principle of design. The principles of design describe ways that artists use the elements of design in a work of art. Remember the elements of the design that we learned about in Art Foundations? Those were line, shape, value, color, texture, proportion, and space. This semester, we're going to learn another 7 tools to add to our art toolbox. The 7 principles of design that we'll be learning about this semester are balance, contrast, emphasis, movement, pattern, rhythm, and unity. Balance is the sense of even distribution of the elements in a work of art. So let's talk about the historical context behind the project that we're going to be doing first. So what is micrography? Micrography is a Jewish art form developed in the 9th century with parallels in Christianity and Islam, utilizing minute letters to form representational, geometric, and abstract designs. This intricate decorative technique was first used in Egypt and the land of Israel in the 9th and 10th centuries. Within the Islamic culture, the written word was decorative, and it was often transformed into elaborate patterns. Jews living near this geographical area around Egypt and Israel saw this and decided to use it to embellish their biblical codices and the illustrated text from the Hebrew Bible. This piece is labeled the 10 Commandments. The text in the book of Exodus describes the revelation at Mount Sinai, and it culminates with the giving of the 10 Commandments, a representation of which is formed in this micrograph. The balance of the design is composed of the entire text of the Song of Songs, long understood by Jews to represent the love between God and Israel. This art form gained popularity when it spread throughout Europe in the early 13th century. Bibles that were produced in France and in Germany featured elaborate ornamental panels that introduced the individual books of the Bible. Micrography declined later on in the 16th century due to criticism by a rabbi who complained that the designs made the text hard to read and understand. Micrography made a comeback in 1798 with the invention of lithography, which is a form of printmaking. Prints of biblical portraits and panoramas of holy sites in Israel were mass-produced and distributed, and they were spread to a wide audience. Popular postcards featuring the micrographic portraits of renowned rabbis were produced in Europe at the beginning of the 20th century. The portrait of Rabbi Khan, formed from a French text, is drawn from his writings. Micrographic prints were frequently sold by charitable institutions to raise funds, or they were sent as gifts to philanthropic donors, just as an appreciation for their contributions. In many cases, the artist included generic text that expressed gratitude to the donor and left a blank space for the insertion of a particular benefactor's name. Now I want to talk to you guys about micrography and typography today. So Leon Azoulay is a modern Jewish artist who still uses the art of micrography. And this is him right here. So he was born in Morocco in 1945. He's still alive and he lives in Israel. And so really living in this birthplace of Jewish mysticism has inspired him to search for means of expressing his passion for painting and for the Bible. So his paintings depict scenes from the Hebrew Bible blended with biblical passages. So you guys can see in this narration, in this depiction of Exodus, you see the fine font right there. That's actually the entire book of Exodus written in the sky, but he's combined it with this beautiful watercolor painting as well. On the other hand, typography, which is a more modernized and digital form of micrography, is used today a lot in art and in marketing. So you'll see them use it for movie posters and for things like that. The typography is the art and process of creating and arranging text in an appealing way. Like I said, usually used for advertising, branding, for movie posters, anything digital with font that you'll see. That is all included within the typography form. The requirements for this project are these 3 right here. So make sure to choose an influential person and relevant text. So that might be someone that you really look up to as an educator or an actor or an athlete or someone in your family. Make sure that it's someone that you really look up to and someone that you could find relevant text for. Maybe it's an artist or an author or someone like that. Just make sure that you can find a decent amount of text to go along with them. Maybe things that they said or things that they wrote. Any of that will do. Also make sure to maintain proportions by using the grid method when you draw your portrait, okay? You guys know what the grid method is, but if you have any questions, just let me know. Also make sure that you pay attention to neatness and craftsmanship because that's a huge part of your grade for this project. So these are examples from last year that I wanted to show you guys. We've got quite a few familiar faces here, but I just wanted to give you an idea of some previous student work. Now let's go step by step and figure out how to create this micrography portrait. The first thing is to find and edit your reference photo. Try to find a photo that's taken from the shoulders up. After you find one, go ahead and put it in Google Slides. Double click on the photo and there's a thing that says image options. So go ahead and click on that. Next, click on recolor and choose the bottom middle option, which is grayscale. After that, click on contrast and hype that up to 100%. And then go ahead and play with the brightness a little bit until it has a good balance of black and white space on the paper. After that, go ahead and do a quick sketch of your edited image. You might want to put that in your sketchbook so you can work from it from there. In your sketchbook, go ahead and spend a few minutes drawing a sketch of your image. So look at the proportions and the shapes of the black sections. That's where we'll be filling it in with words. And try and ignore the background and just focus on the person's face. Also in your sketchbook, make a note and let me know what kind of words you're going to use. If you're going to use song lyrics or quotes or words from a poem or a book. After that, go ahead and get started on sketching on your final piece of Bristol paper. I have those in the classroom for you. First, go ahead and transfer your original sketch to your piece of larger Bristol paper. Again, make sure you're paying attention to proportions and following the grid. Take your time on this step. After that, go ahead and fill in the black spaces with the words that you've chosen. So keep in mind that once we're finished, you're going to erase those outlines and all that will remain is the words. So just make sure that you do a really careful job of putting those words in there. The smaller you write, the better it'll look. Next, go ahead and trace your sketched words with marker. And then after you're done with that, just erase any visible pencil marks. After that, you guys are all finished. Just make sure to turn it in at the back of the classroom in the Drawing 1 folder and make sure that you complete an online rubric as well. And just double check to make sure that you answered all the vocab questions in this video as well, so you get credit for this week's vocab quiz. All right, thanks so much, you guys. Have fun and let me know if you have any questions.